Well, for me to step up and step out is to not think about what could happen if I did do this, and just do it and try it and not be scared of failure or just worried about what people think if I try this. Or basically I just try not to live in fear because fear causes anxiety, and if I have an anxiety attack or anything like that, it's just, what good am I if I'm stuck in my head? So I try to work on just doing things for others and stepping out and just not really caring what people think and just trying it. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it again, and that's okay. And at least try it once. So when I step out, either meeting somebody or trying new things or doing different jobs or going to different countries to serve, if I don't like it, I don't have to go back, but at least I tried it, and at least I have that experience to talk about in the future. To step out in faith for me is just knowing that everything's gonna be all right, and that Jesus will be right there behind you. And the reason why I say that, one time when I was meditating, where I was walking down my path to, at this point in time, was sitting on my power rock, and then sitting behind me was a object. I didn't know what it was, and I couldn't see it, but I could feel the presence of Jesus behind me. And that's what I knew from then forward, that he was in my life. And with all the questions I had leading up to that point, was if he was real and am I living the right way? I knew from that moment forward he was in my life. And that's why now when I step out and jump into faith, I know he's right there with me, and I don't have to be scared, and I know that I'm doing the right thing. Well, it all comes back to the fear thing. I was always raised as a positive person, and always look for things half full and the positive in any situation. So I never really ever was worried about this might happen or that might happen. In my lowest points in my life, I always knew that I had family behind me, and if I needed help, they were always there. So I can lean on them as much as I know that they were upset and disappointed by my actions and the things that I did. I knew that they were behind me, so that helped with pushing me forward into trying to get past the situations that I put myself in. But knowing that they were there was the biggest key, and they were always like, you can do this. And I always had that support group. I always had a strong core of friends who were a lot fewer now than back in the past. And it's funny how people disappear out of your lives and reappear at times for certain reasons. But yeah, I always put a positive spin on things all throughout my life. So I never really got so down on myself. Of course, I got frustrated with myself and was angry at myself for doing those things, but that was only lasted a few days, and I just pushed forward, and I knew things would get better. That always does. I don't need to be certain about anything. It all comes back to the fear thing. I don't live in fear anymore, because what's the point? In my own experience, I never understood I have to be fearful of eating this or doing this, or what is somebody gonna think? I just don't care what people think anymore. It's how it makes me feel inside, and if I'm gonna benefit out of it to grow myself, if I feel good about it and I'm not hurting anybody, I'm gonna try it. There's always, quote unquote, the right and wrong way, but if you don't go the wrong way sometimes, how are you gonna know what the right way is? And sometimes you have to fall and scrape your knee and get back up and put your shoes back on and keep going after it. But that's your path, and that's why you had to try that. And sometimes you just go down the right path and do the thing that was meant for you to do. And it's just like trying to find a career. It took me 30 plus jobs to find the job that I really like. But I wouldn't have found that job if I didn't try and keep looking forward and talk to people and say, this is who I am, But it all comes back to me. It comes back to the fear-based thing, and I don't live in fear anymore. I think it builds your self-confidence, and I think it builds you up. And then once you have confidence in yourselves, people see that, and they'll follow that confidence and that that leadership, if you want to be a leader, that leadership quality, and that's what I think, where if you have confidence in yourself, you'll say, oh yeah, well, try this, check it out. Everybody's different, but I say if you have confidence in yourself, other people will see that and they'll try it as well. And that's why I try to surround myself with people like that who are also confident in themselves and want to try things. So, and generally we're all on the same path, you know, we don't know where it's going, but we're on it. And hopefully eventually we'll find out. Failure for me is a daily occurrence. I mean, it just happens, and it's okay. And it's like, it absolutely should be a learning experience, but you can also turn that experience into something negative where like, oh, I'm not gonna try that again. But 90% of the time, the failure, you're like, oh, okay, I could do it this way next time and it will be just fine. And that's why when Jesus talks about failure, Jesus probably failed hundreds of thousands of times. He was okay because he knew he was doing the right thing. And as long as you know in your heart that you're doing the right thing, like even if you fail every single day like I do, but it's not going to change who I am or my outlook on life or if I'm on the right path or not. But it's just doing the right thing, and it's okay to fail, and it's going to happen inevitably. If you're trying to be perfect, you're going to fail even worse, in my opinion. So just do your best and just try again. Just keep getting up. Because everybody's always on a time schedule. And this goes back to what I said before. With people, when they fail, they always expect someone's going to pick up and do it for them. It comes back to that the same core. It's like, everybody's on a time limit. Everybody always seems like they're in a big hurry. There's not enough time for somebody else unless you're in their inner circle of family or whatnot. But they're always like, I do this myself, where instead of doing the right thing and sticking up my head from my telephone and watching and helping somebody, I'll walk by or just keep looking, or some people film it instead of going over there and taking the 5 minutes to figure out what's going on. How can I help for this brief moment? And then you'll feel better after. But 90% of the time we're like, oh, we're in a rush, we gotta get here, we gotta get there. Instead of just taking a second, stepping back and be like, okay, I can not even think about the time issue, because unfortunately that's how the world is right now. There's no time for others. It's always like, oh, if it's not on my schedule for the day, or if I have to get there in 20 minutes or I'm late, or that it comes back to if it's not in the day, I don't really want to even deal with it. And I do it myself, and I'm ashamed at times, but other times where if it's on the other side of the road or on television, I mean, what really can I do about it at that time? But yeah, we are definitely in a thing where people, if it's not right in front of them, literally at their feet, they'll just step right around it and keep moving about their day. And it's funny how when Christmas comes around, everybody's in a giving mood and everybody wants to help, and oh, it's Christmas, let's help one another. But when January and February roll around, we forget. And it's like, why do we forget in January and February, where not even a month ago or 2 months ago, we were helping each other and everybody was raising food and clothes for people who don't have it, and then we soon forget. I don't know how we can keep that going throughout the year, but I always try to step back and remember at the times where I was quote unquote in the gutter and not up to par, and people, in this instance my family, were there for me, and they picked me up and they said, look, dust you off, let's get this started, what do we need to do, and then started that process. And sometimes the people just need to be picked up, and that's it. That's all they need to do, is just be picked up off the ground. I absolutely agree with that, because there's been times in my life where I didn't think I was helping this person at all, and then 5 years later I see the same person, they walk up and shake my hand or give me a hug, and they say, look, if you weren't there for me at that time, I don't know if I would still be here. And I'm like, all I did was say hi, you know, and all I did was, I was just being myself. I wasn't being anybody else, and I don't know why at that moment that's what they needed to hear, or why I was in that situation. And I always trust that God puts me in the situation that I can help somebody. That's why every morning I wake up and I say, look, I know I'm selfish every day, and I know this, but at least open my ears to where I can hear something or potentially see something where I can help. And a lot of the time I walk by and I don't hear it or see it, but if I could be there that one time and help that one person, like, that's what I try. But we're all interconnected, and if we could just be conscious of it at least 10% of the time, that will help tremendously. Not only finding God and walking with Jesus, but just as a congregation, as a family, as everything. To step up and out here at Holy Cross, I think that we're so tied to these walls and of this property here that I think if we open up and we go outside and want to be more, I'm not saying we don't want to be involved, we do, but we feel like the only time we are involved is if something happens here. If we go up and out and help somewhere else, I think it will open up our doors more and people will see us more as a community, as well as us being involved more in the community. And I think we just have to do that as a congregation to grow. Even if we don't grow out of it, at least they know who we are, and sometimes that's all that matters. When someone goes, yeah, I've heard of them, and let's go, because I know they were there that one time and they were helping those people. They're like, yeah, let's go check it out. And that's what I think stepping up and stepping out is, where not only is it going to help us as a congregation, but I think it will help just in the community and as everybody in the congregation to move forward and grow. If it's growing with people or growing with the people knowing us as in the community more, I think that will help tremendously.
All right, brother, that was awesome.
I hope that helped.